dad. So he's ready to get out in Cub Scout. And I have a feeling that there are a lot of kids out there who are ready to get out and Cub Scout. Just a few quick items of housekeeping before we dive in. If you guys have any questions, you can type them into the Q&A box down on the bottom of your screen. And Dave Sykes will be monitoring those questions, answering a lot of them in real time. And then we'll pause about halfway through the session to address some of these. I'm sure there's going to be a lot tonight. And there is going to be a manual like we've had in past years. It's being finalized, and we should have copies to email out by the end of the week. As you can imagine, the manual is going to look a lot different this year. As I said before, this is anything but a usual year. So we are not taking our usual approach to recruitment. The folks at the Lincoln Heritage Council have come up with a great plan. It's a very dynamic and flexible plan. And it was done with a lot of input from different stakeholders with focus group and everything. And so I think we've come to a final product that's going to result in a really successful year. So without further ado, I would like to get into the first part of our agenda and talk about our goals for this year. You know, in a typical year, last year we had a fantastic year. And in a typical year, we might strive for, say, 5,000 new Cub Scouts, right? This year, of course, is anything but typical. So our goal this year is going to be 2,500 new Cub Scouts and 500 dropped members re-engaged. And we'll talk about what that means to re-engage those dropped members here shortly. Some of you might think that 2,500 is a little too low. Some of you might think it's a little too high. But you know, with this has never happened before, right? So it's hard to come up with a great goal. I think that's a good number to strive for. I have a feeling that we'll get lucky and we'll surpass it, but we'll see. If you talk about the goals that we have, and you go break them down by the district goals are largely about half of what the current 6-year average is. And that's the same for our council goal. Our 6-year average for the council is 4,559. So if we can do that on average in a good year, I really believe that we can do 2,500 this year, especially with the plan that we've developed. So a big part of that plan is going to be using our digital tools. And one of the most important digital tools is the Be a Scout pin. David Sykes is going to tell you some more about that and exactly how you can utilize that to the best advantage. David?
Yeah, Mark, I appreciate it. This is, Be a Scout shouldn't be anything new to anyone in regards to, you know, it's been out there for a little while now, but this is the year that everyone needs to be on board and have an updated pin. We did a webinar that is up on our website. If you go to lhcbsa.org, go up to resources, scroll down, you'll see Be a Scout. Up on that page on our website, you'll see a video for a webinar that teaches you not only how to update your pin, but how to get set up for online applications. The guide that we're scrolling through tonight that'll support you with your fall efforts highlights the instructions on how to update Be a Scout pin. And that's going to be important for several reasons. One, if you Google how to join Cub Scouts, which everyone Googles now, it's going to lead you to beascout.org. All of our flyers and promotional materials will have beascout.org. You could put anything in your pin almost to promote your unit. When you meet, the key contact, you could have a web link, you could have you know, details, a little blurb on your unit, and they go there and they're able to read it and click on it. And then the next facet is online applications. So in this guide, it gives you a quick 4-step process. Your unit key 3, so for a pack, it's your Cub Master, your charter rep, or your committee chair would need to update the pin. They could also designate someone to manage this if they're not tech savvy. And Robert, on online applications, which is on the next page of our guide, it highlights the importance of online applications this year. We're going to be put in a position, as Mark mentioned, in a year like no other, that we're going to have to operate in some cases, even some of our meetings through Zoom. A contactless way now in which you could register folks is through these online applications, through your beascout.org pin. You could send a QR code as well as a link to interested parents and families that would not only drive them to your pin for more information, but also your online registration link where they could apply for their youth. They could also apply as a leader, and you could filter your applications through there, and it gives you the step-by-step process on how to approve those. So go to our website for more information. On our homepage, go to resources, then Be a Scout. In the guide that you're seeing here tonight that we'll be presenting after this meeting this week up on our webpage, and everyone registered for this meeting, we'll send you a direct link to the guide this week. It highlights this, but very important year. We want 100% of our packs, Mark, to be updated with their PIN and online ready. Our goal was this month. We're going to put out an updated report to each district of who's met that mark and that objective of being ready with their PIN and online applications. But this is the year that we have to be ready to do that. I think I'm going to kick it back over to Robert, and we're going to start talking a little bit more about the plan.
Hey, Robert, I think you're on mute.
Can you hear me now? Okay, good. Sound like an old cell phone commercial. As we said, as Mark and David said earlier, that you know, we've had to pivot several times. This is a year like none other, so we're going to have to recruit like none other. So what we've done is we've had to revamp and come up with a new strategy as far as recruitment. And we want to focus this year on the 3 R's, and you might be able to see that up at the top of the page there, is the 3 R's of recruitment. 3 R's of recruitment. And the first thing we want to do is retain our current membership. So we know during this COVID-19, a whole lot of units hadn't had a whole lot of opportunity to meet. So we just want to encourage all the units to reach back out to their current membership, get them back on board. And that's why we want to encourage everybody to have what's called a welcome back, get out in Cub Scout meeting. You know, anybody's been around any period of time, though, we normally always call it a sign up meeting. But this year we want to call it welcome back, get out in Cub Scout meeting. And that title's intentional. The intentionality of it is that we want to welcome back off of the COVID break all our current membership. Want to welcome back drop memberships, which is number 2. We want to re-engage drop memberships. So number 1, retain current memberships. Number 2, re-engage drop memberships. And we got a plan for doing that. We'll talk about that a little bit more down in the agenda as we deal with the details of fall recruitment. And then thirdly, we want to recruit new members where possible. And we know that's going to be difficult this year. We've got a lot of headwinds, but wherever possible, we do want to recruit new membership. So the 3 R's, retain, re-engage, recruit. Also at the bottom, we want to introduce a couple new words here. It's fall retention and recruitment now. Used to be just fall recruitment, but fall retention this year because we want to retain as many members as we can. And then also the welcome back, get out in Cub Scout night meeting. Again, I want to encourage everybody, if you have any questions, please type them in the question section there and we'll get to them. But right now I want to kick it back over to Mark Vanderhoff, and he's going to talk about leadership a little bit. Okay, Mark, I think.
I know we've probably got a lot of Cub Scout masters out there. Our Cub masters are often doing a million different things. They wear many different hats. But one thing that I think they should delegate, or your committee should delegate, is the job of recruitment. And to that end, I think one of the first things you got to be doing, if you're a PAC, is designating your recruitment chair. Now, this year, we're calling it the Get Out and Cub Scout meeting chair, but it's also the recruitment chair, same thing. And this is the person who's going to handle, plan, and execute your strategy. It's somebody that you want to rely on to do these following following things. You're going to work closely with your district recruitment chair, as well as your district executive and your PAC leaders to plan that welcome back, get out and Cub Scout meeting and reach all of those fall goals. Now that person shouldn't have to do this all by themselves, just like a Cub Master shouldn't have to do everything in the PAC all by themselves. You want your recruitment chair to recruit a team, get 3 to 5 volunteers who can help out with what we previously called sign up night and what we're now calling welcome back, get out and Cub Scout meeting. Okay, so get that recruitment chair, have them set up their team, set the date for your meeting, and start planning it. If your recruitment chair is not on the call tonight, they'll be able to watch this later through the Lincoln Heritage Council website. And what you're going to want to do, just like any other year, is promote your welcome back, get out and Cub Scout meeting team. In a little bit, we're going to tell you about some materials that we have. All you'd have to do is print them out. You can use those to promote your meeting. And you also want to make sure that you've got all of the materials that you'll need, like applications. And then once you've collected all your applications and fees, get that to the council office. It's a lot of work for one person. So if you can, try and designate that person as quickly as possible and make sure that it's not your Cub Master. It's not fair for your Cub Master to be planning the year and having to do this at the same time. So we'll have this job description in the manual that should be coming out by the end of the week. It'll be emailed out to everybody, and you can give that to your recruitment chair, and they'll have a ready to go plan for what they need to do pretty much. Next up, we're going to talk about the plan that your recruitment chair is going to execute. We just talked about the 3 R's: retention, re-engagement, and recruitment. So to talk about retention, we'll have Matt Nash.
All right, and I like what you said there, Mark. Don't leave it up to the Cub Master. I am a Cub Master in my PAC, and don't leave it up to me. I need a team. I need people helping. So I not only work as a field director here in the council, but I'm a Cub Master, PAC 333. Love working with all the groups, but I cannot do it by myself, and I can't stress that enough. And to kind of talk about this plan, I've seen a couple things in the chat. This might help with us answering one question. My PAC just had a meeting tonight talking about how are we going to do this and only getting groups of 10. And we're going to do that by den. So this welcome back party, welcome back and get out and Cub Scout meeting that we're going to have for my PAC. And I'm rolling you through this bullet points that we've got on the screen here, but it is, we're doing this. We're going to re-engage our current members and work on retaining everybody by getting them back in the most focused group first, which is their dens. Now our goal is to do that at a park where Tiger Den will be over here, Wolf Den will be over here, and maybe we're all there the same night, but we're not in the same group doing the same activities. The only thing that allows us to do is have one person help us with something very important, which is ice cream. And this is something brand new this year. Very excited about it because you want to re-engage kids. And like Mark said, you want to get them away from the video games, get them outside, offer them food, offer them a snack. That's going to help. And we believe that's going to help you re-engage your current members that much that we're going to back it up with some money. And we're going to reimburse every unit that does a get back and get out and Cub Scout welcome back party. And the numbers are right here. It's based on the size of your unit. So up to 49 scouts, we'll reimburse your PAC up to $25. For 50 to 75 scouts, we'll reimburse up to $35. And I know I saw those questions that, well, we can't have 75 people all sitting together right now. That's not going to work in Kentucky, and we're not encouraging that. Right. We're encouraging to get back together as we're able. And an important thing here is to get back together in September. This is something we're planning now to roll out in September. And our definite hope is that that changes like things have every week and every month. We keep getting new guidelines, and that is definitely something that I hope I can have my whole PAC of 30 kids in one amphitheater talking to them at the same time. But if not, we're ready to pivot already in Pack 333 with getting together in dens and still doing this and having the focus on each den leader, contacting each member of our pack, inviting them to this activity. We're going to have little rockets we shoot off in the air. We've already talked to the parent that's got the, we're making a big, basically kind of a slingshot thing with a big 3-man water balloon launcher that we're trying to hit some buckets at the other end of a soccer field. We're going to see how many kids can do that. We've got some fun activities, and that's what we want to do when we re-engage our current members, is remind them how much fun Cub Scouts is. And so whether you're a Cub Scout group or a Scouts BSA troop, I know it says Dutch oven cooking, cook-off, woodworking, games, that's the kind of activities you need to be thinking about with your Scouts. So I'm going to kick it back to Mark, because there's a second group on this page we're going to talk about re-engaging is our dropped members. So over to you, Mark.
Yeah, Matt, I'm so glad that I'm the one who gets to talk about re-engaging the kids that have dropped scouting. I'm a TV reporter right now, but there was a time where I spent some time away from the news media and I sold real estate. And one of the big things that we would do, with real estate, you're always having to drive business to yourself. It's a really tough job. And one of the ways that you go after new business is that you look at people who put their homes up for sale and their listing, they call it expired, right? So they put it up for sale at one point and then their contract was up and then it sort of fell off the market. Well, what do you know about those people? You know that they wanted to sell their home at some point, right? But something happened along the way. And then, things just kind of fell by the wayside. I think that this strategy to re-engage kids who sort of fell off the radar could be one of the most valuable strategies that we have in recruiting, not just this year, but in every year going forward. Because what we know about these kids is that they were interested in scouting, or their parents were interested in scouting, or they and their parents were interested in scouting. So they signed up, but something along the way might have happened. And we're all parents here, or most of us are parents here. We know how crazy life is. Sometimes your kids are involved in 10 million different things. And you got to step back to your kid and say, listen, something's got to give. So maybe the kid, just was too busy at the time. Chances are, kid's not as busy as they were last year or the year before. So this could be the perfect time to engage kids who, for whatever reason, at some point, kind of fell out of scouting. They may be thinking about it. Their parents might be thinking about getting them back involved. And the phone call that you make to a parent of a child could be the difference between them getting back involved in scouting and never taking it up again. Now, what we're going to do is we'll give every pack a list of the children who were dropped, who are no longer engaged, and you can just go down that list. It'll have their phone numbers, their addresses, and their email, and you can just contact those folks and just kind of see what's going on and whether they'd be interested in coming back out. We've got 200 packs, I believe. Dave can correct me if I'm wrong, but 200 packs in the Lincoln Heritage Council. So if we could just get one, if every pack could just get one kid who fell off the radar in the past year or so, that'd be 200 new scouts that we could have. I'd like to get 500. That's our goal. But if every pack could at least get one, if every pack could get 2.5, that'd be fantastic. But if we could all just get at least one, I think that'd be great. That's what re-engaging those drop members is going to be all about. I'll turn it over to Robert, who's going to talk about the final part of the plan, recruitment.
Again, if anybody's been around for any period of time as far as scouting, the recruiting this year is going to look drastically different than it has in the past, of course. So we got some heavy limitations on us when it comes to schools. So we've implemented some new processes here that we think that'll work in this environment. So what's new this year is we're going to put a heavy emphasis on, or equal part emphasis on, bring a buddy. And so we're going to show you the Bring a Buddy invite that we're going to pass out to everybody. We're going to give every scout 5 Bring a Buddy invitations. And we're encouraging these scouts to give them out to their neighbors, friends in school that have not been a part of the pack, people they go to church with. I mean, the mother and father may have some co-workers that have some kids about the same age as people in the packs. And we're just encouraging them to invite them out to this Welcome Back, Get Out, and Cub Scout meeting. So everybody's going to get 5 invitations. To incentivize it a little bit, you know, we're doing a reimbursement for the ice cream or the $25 reimbursement or whatever increment you're in for the pizza or whatever we need to do. But we're also giving patches for every scout who brings a buddy. So the scout that brings a buddy gets a patch, and the scout that gets brought gets a patch also. And so we're working on those now. We're going to make those kind of neat, you know, just to incentivize our current scouts to get out there and invite their buddies. And it's probably not going to be a hard sell for them because everybody wants their buddy with them when they're doing something fun. So bring a buddy is important this year. We're also going to offer you those invites. The templates are going to be online. So they'll be on our website probably by the end of next week, but they will be there for you to access. Where we can, we know the schools are going to be highly limited. So we have a buzz up this year that's digital. It's a video. So the principal of the school, once our district executive or you get in contact with them, the principal can send that digital buzz up out to the constituents of the school. It'll also have a digital flyer attached to that also, letting them know the date, time, and location of your Welcome Back, Get Back, and Cub Scout meeting. So we're going to offer that. We'll also have yard signs and posters. You can put those yard signs up around the chartering organization. If the youth go back to school before the end of the year, we can put some posters up and some yard signs up in front of the school because we're hoping they'll be back in school, you know, as long as it's safe. So those are the typical things. This will be our second year with the geofence. Geofence is kind of like an online advertisement that we do. What we do is when you pick the location, the address of your Welcome Back, Get Out, and Cub Scout meeting, we'll place an electronic geofence around that, a 3-mile radius. So anybody that drives through that geofence will get something downloaded to their cell phone. What'll be downloaded, that'll be a little small video, and it also have the date, time, and location of your Get Out and Cub Scout meeting. So the geofence is something that the National's offering you guys. So once you give us that date, time, and location, that plug will be there.
And the geofencing works really well, Robert, with social media. So if they're on Facebook or anything, that advertisement for your meeting due to that geofence will pop up into their social media.
Absolutely. Thank you, David. Yeah, and so that's going to be done 3 weeks before you sign up. So we're asking everybody to get this scheduled at least 3 weeks before so we can download that information into National's database to get that geofence ignited. One thing we are asking you to do, that if you schedule it that night and something happens and you have to cancel, you would need somebody to be at that location to welcome any parents that got that geofence. That's just a plug. We don't want them showing up and for scouting and there's no representation there. So we want to encourage you guys to make sure you have somebody there if you have to cancel that night. Again, any questions that you have, I know we're going through this, you can just plug that in your question and answer. I'm going to turn this over to Matt Nash so he can walk through the timeline a bit.
All right, thank you, Robert. And I dropped my packet, so I might have the wrong page. You can pull it up for me, so I'm sure I'm on the right one, whether it's page 9 or 10. That's where I got confused.
Got you.
But if we're starting with the District 1, that's fine, or if we're starting on that one, it's fine. All right.
Start on the unit.
Start on the unit. I gotcha. That just saves me. I didn't number these, so.
Okay.
But no, it's basically, Robert mentioned it. We've got the Welcome Back, Get Out, and Cub Scout meeting. So if that's your 0 date, that's when you're trying to plan for. We want you to plan appropriately and work with us. So everything Robert just mentioned, whether it's geofencing or making some flyers or making invitations or anything you're doing as a pack. I know one thing that I've seen a lot of is packs getting really creative. We make posters and all sorts of stuff to support folks, but I've seen some local posters that just are great. You know, a whole pack assembled in front of the local firehouse with the leader's name and phone number on it. I saw 2 or 3 of those posted in front of a grocery store last year. That was awesome because everybody not only sees the Cub Scouts, but they might recognize a Cub Scout in their local community or a leader. So anything you can do that helps you with that. But the important thing is kind of looking at this timeline is the very important details of working with your executive, getting it scheduled, getting a date scheduled that you're targeting, that 0 date. That's very important because then we can help promote that date through the different resources we mentioned, whether that's pinning it out there. You can even put that date on your Be a Scout. As things are found, you, like David said, you can access and put a lot of information on your Be a Scout pin. That could be one thing. Normally meet Tuesday nights, but join us this one night. You can put a date in there. You have a lot of flexibility with updating that. The pack leadership needs to do some planning though. Make sure you're not doing it alone. Don't leave your Cub Master out by themselves to do this by themselves. We need a team, so that's all part of the prep. And then the follow-up is very important also. It's just like how we used to run sign-up nights. The follow-up is crucial. Turning in the applications within a day or two, or just confirming that the folks that are signing up filled out the online application and actually submitted it. And honestly, sometimes the unit, as the Cub Master, I might have to approve those. They might get hung up on me waiting for approval. Need to make sure that happens within the first couple days after, so that new Cub Scout receives any communication they're going to, and their family. All new leaders completing youth protection training is a very big key. We're going to talk about recruiting leaders a little bit later, but recruiting the leader, they need to do some of the basic training and understand why we're a safe organization. We have all of the 2-deep leadership, the buddy system, how all that works. New parents and new leaders need to do that right away, especially new leaders, but I encourage every parent to do it just as kind of information so they understand our rules and what we follow. Conducting the first meetings is also within the first 7 to 10 days. The kids are no different when they're coming to the Get Out and Cub Scout re-engagement meeting or first time bring a buddy meeting. They're going to be very eager to do something. And then they're really going to want to come back and do something else at their next meeting. So we don't want to disappoint within 7 to 10 days. We need to have their first activity, then meeting, something they're going through and having fun. So real quick, that's that timeline on the Get Out and Cub Scout meeting. I think the page before had a few district dates on it, just looking through. Robert, if you scroll back real quick, we'll just highlight it real fast. But this will show you some of the key dates. You're getting confirmed right now and trained, but our first goal is coming up here July 31st, trying to hit 100% of our units, getting that Be a Scout pin updated. And then throughout the August month, you'll see where we're trying to get up to 100% scheduled with their Get Out and Cub Scout re-engagement meetings. So I'll kick it actually back to Mark, I think, or yep, back to Mark.
You know what, Matt, we're gonna pause right here. I told you guys at the beginning that if you had any questions, you could type them in the Q&A box, and that Dave would be answering them. He's answered a lot, but you know, it's like kind of like text messaging, right? Sometimes it's just easier to pick up the phone and call. So there's a lot of great questions that Dave has some answers that I think deserve a little bit of discussion more than a simple chat message. So Dave, take it away and let's talk about some of those Q&As.
Yeah, Mark, I appreciate it. I felt like it was subliminal or something. You heard my lifeline. I was calling you. I was like, man, help me out. We got to answer some of these. So no, that's good. Let's start from the top. There's several of these I wanted to answer live just because maybe they're asking what other people are thinking. So this is one important to the time. It says we have a lot of leaders concerned about liability for in-person meetings. Is there an official or national council position on liability for PACs and leaders who meet in person? Awesome question. We actually just put out some recent information and guidelines. As long as you're following the Guide to Safe Scouting and you're meeting all the current guidelines through the CDC and COVID and social distancing and all the guidelines, we just recently put out a great infographic with some additional news through the LHC for units. It's nothing short of a checklist. If you're doing all these things, you're protected as leaders with the BSA. So I wanted to answer that live for everyone, Mark. You know, it's a good question. We don't get that opportunity to answer that one. At least I haven't recently. So do we know how much the BSA fees for the upcoming year? We have put that out in a number of different ways and different fashions. The fees do go up August 1, takes effect August 1. It goes up to $66, so from 60 to 66, so it went up $6, 50 cents a month. The prorated amount that most of you are going to be looking at if you have people joining, it would be around that September through December to carry them through this year. It breaks down to $22, are pretty close to that. And then every new member that has not been previously registered in the BSA, so new member, and that answers another question, so I'm double dipping here. Any new member that has not been registered has a $25 one-time joining fee. So you're looking at a fee between September and end of year for most of your charters of around $45 to join for new scouts. So I hope that answered that. We did put out a recent infographic. It's up. Go to our Facebook page. You should be able to find that relatively easily. The drop list, a couple of different questions in relation to the drop list. When will you get that list? And then I had a couple of questions on what do we need to do to trigger that geofencing. So if hopefully you picked it up from the timeline, and we will be sending that timeline out, but we have about a hopefully 4-week turnaround on if you give us the date, we're going to put all these wheels in motion for you from our end. We're going to help communicate to your current members. We're going to help communicate to your drop members. And we're going to give you that list. We're also going to put that geofence around that location. The geofencing takes a minimum of 3 weeks for it to kick in. So the targeted time frame that we're pushing would be to have these meetings after Labor Day through the first part of October. It's like a 30-day window. So what you would typically hear from us is, boy, let's get in quick. Let's do recruiting. Not necessarily the plan, because we want to put all these things in place. So and I did answer this one, I think, so I'm going to be a little more clear. Correct me if I'm wrong, but those scouts who re-engage would not have to pay the $25 new joining fee. You are correct. Re-engaged scouts that were previously registered do not have to pay that. So that's an excellent question I wanted to answer for the group. What is a buzz up? Well, that's where we talk to the kids to get them jazzed up at the school. We just typically love to go in the school, and it's mainly professional driven. We have a lot of great volunteers that go out there and help us talk to the kids at the school. But the buzz ups where we get them excited. We're not going to be able to go in some of the school systems this year. We understand that, and we need to be mindful of that. So we're creating that virtual buzz up and virtual flyer that could be sent out. We even have one leader that said, well, boy, could we just have promote out through the Facebook PTO page and through the school Facebook? I was like, that's an excellent idea. Guess what? We're going to have social media templates. You could use that. So I answered that one. Geofencing was a hot topic. For large rural areas, we actually had the same question. Can we expand that 3-mile radius? Robert, you've been on those calls. Is that an opportunity to expand that in any way?
Yes, I believe there is. I don't forgot the boundaries or the limits that we put on it, but it goes much further than 3 miles. I can find that information and shoot that out to everybody as soon as we get it, but you can expand that. One thing I want to highlight with the geofence too, we can put the fence around not only the location that you're having the meeting, but we can put it over on a secondary location. So we can geofence for you at the meeting location as well as the school. I didn't mention that earlier, so keep that in mind too. If you want it geofenced at both, just let us know.
So while I have y'all's meeting paused, let me scan through. The insurance is prorated. The council did not go up on that. It's still $12. And then we'll pause. I might catch up on some of these, but I wanted to use our time wisely. Is the buzz up video going to be generic? Absolutely. It's going to be diverse and generic, and we're very mindful of that. So I think y'all can move on, and I'll answer some more of these, and we'll stay back even after the meeting, make sure all questions get answered.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Dave. You know, one of the things that I love about this plan is that I think that you could enter it with very little experience and still have a successful year as your PAC recruitment chair, and really help your PAC retain, re-engage, and recruit new members. And one of the things that's going to be really helpful in that is all the materials that the Lincoln Heritage Council provides for you, so that everything is ready to go. So I'm going to go over just a few of the things that will be available to you. You know, they talked about geofencing. but there are actual physical things that will be given you for your welcome back meeting. The basics include your applications. There will be some branded scouting pins. You'll have a receipt ledger, and you'll have a roster to keep track of who all signs up. All that stuff is going to be provided to you. It's not stuff that you're going to have to make up or anything like that. You'll also get posters and flyers. Specifically, you'll be getting 1 hard copy flyer, 2 posters, and 2 yard signs. But there's a lot of other stuff that you can get online and that your unit could print out. And I love some of the stuff that Matt talked about, some of the custom posters that PAC's made. A lot of great ideas out there. I've seen a lot of cool stuff, but not everybody's got the time or the creativity to do that. So the council has some stuff that's just ready to go for you. All you have to do is go to the Lincoln Heritage Council's website. It's lhcbsa.org, and there is a ton of stuff on there. I'll give you just a few highlights. You've got a PDF of we call it a parent guide. It's something that you can hand out to all the parents so that they know, it's just got a lot of the basics about scouting. We'll have more digital flyers and posters. We have a fall recruitment PowerPoint that you can get and a fall recruitment guidebook. We've got the fall recruitment chair job description that I mentioned earlier that you can hand off to your volunteer when you get that person designated. We have the ready to go agenda for your welcome back meeting. We have social media templates for online advertising. Just so many great resources online to complement the hard copy stuff that will be given to you so that you can have a successful welcome back meeting. Now, while you're doing your welcome back meeting, you're going to have a perfect opportunity to find new volunteers. So to talk more about that, I'll turn things over to Matt Nash.
Thanks, Mark. And volunteers, everybody knows. And as a Cub Master, I just ask, and 20 people stand up and raise their hand, and they're ready to go at every meeting. Never a dull moment. It's sometimes it's hard to recruit a volunteer for a role in a pack, but honestly, a lot of times it really comes down, and I'm speaking both as somebody who's worked for the Scouts for 18 years and a current Cub Master, it really comes down to just asking and asking the people to help, and also finding out a little bit about them and what they're good at, what they're interested in. The nicest thing is Scouts is great for families, and usually as a parent involved in a program that their kid is getting so much out of, a lot of parents just want to know how can they help, and they're usually not going to avoid volunteering if they're being asked in the right way by the right person, and especially for the right thing. Currently, I'm in the process of kind of rebuilding our pack, and to give you one great example, I've got a person who I've been talking to for about a year who is now going to be our Lion Den leader starting this school year. And she has a kindergartner starting school, doesn't know what that looks like. She also has an 8th grader who's in the Boy Scout troop that we're partnered with. And that's one way that I found her, is she had a kid coming up. We knew he was going to be joining soon. And one place you can always find leaders or find a place to start looking is people who have had a kid in the program or currently have a kid at an older age in the program. A lot of times, if they care enough to help or have more than one child in the program, they might be willing to give a little bit of time. Doesn't mean they're going to be the Cub Master. Doesn't mean they're going to be a den leader. But the thing I learned a long time ago is everybody can help in some way, shape, or form, and everybody feels good about contributing to making the team successful. So a lot of these hints that are in our guide here are just recruitment notes and hints on what do you need to look for. A key thing is knowing what the pack needs. So as you're getting ready for the fall and you know your bear den leader just moved to Iowa, you need a bear den leader. Don't start the fall without looking for that person. You can start with the current parents, but be mindful of who's signing up. If you have your welcome back, get out and Cub Scout night, and you've got a great parent that's there that's really engaged, really asking a lot of the right questions, go ahead and talk to them more about it. Let them know it's not as scary as they think, and that everybody started brand new. not knowing what they were doing, in a room with a bunch of kids, trying to work on an achievement or trying to make something fun. And we want it to be fun for the parents and the kids. So Robert's on page 20, but you'll see page 19 and page 20 are kind of dedicated to all the different recruiting new leader hints. Which roles need filled, which parents, you know, greet you and ask a lot of questions, which parents say, hey, I had a scouting background. Me personally, I grew up in Scouts in Canton, Ohio. I'm an Eagle Scout. I give a lot of credit to my Scout leaders, and they weren't my parents. So my parents helped maybe on the pack committee or maybe as a den leader, but they weren't the Cub Master or the Scout Master. I had some great folks that helped in those roles that I got to meet. But that's one reason I'm giving back with my kids. I had a great experience. It meant a lot to me. Somebody did that for me. So I'm going to spend some time doing that for my kids and their friends. Don't force it. Probably one thing I think we can always learn from with this is don't force it, and don't grab that person that they've got two hats and give them a third. That's not necessarily the best recipe for being successful. It might fill the role, but it's not going to help you do all three jobs well. You're going to do two of them halfway and one not at all. And that's not a good recipe. Make it a big deal. Absolutely. If you get somebody, and myself and a guy who used to work for the Scouts here, Jason Wilson, a couple of us still do the same thing. If we have a sign up night, or if I'm helping with one of these at a park and we're allowed to be, you know, at least whether masks on or whatever the social distancing requirements might be, I'm going to make a huge deal and clap and applaud and make sure everybody joins me if I get somebody to step up and volunteer publicly in front of the group. But we're going to applaud that and thank them for doing it and make a big deal about it. That's a great thing that we need to do more of to make sure those folks really do appreciate it. Probably the biggest thing, and then I'll move on to the next page, that we don't want to miss is we want to engage that person right away. If you've got somebody interested, they want to spend the time, they're willing to jump on board, show them where youth protection training is. Let them know that all training for Cub Scouts, except Baloo, all training for Cub Scouts is available online. They can do a lot of learning on their own. They don't have to be the perfect leader. They just have to be willing to learn what's going to be fun, and then willing to give that time to put a little bit of effort in on pre-planning and a little bit of effort in on asking parents to help them out. The one other place you're going to find a lot of good info on, and Robert, the next page I think is our family talent survey. So this is a very important page to give every new member or even returning members. If you're re-engaging them, if you don't remember what their parents do, use this again. Hand it out, re-engage the parent by finding out what they're interested in. And this is all it is. Their hobbies, their interests, who has a woodworking shop and is going to help with the Pinewood Derby. Somebody loves doing that in every single pack. It's their thing. They don't mind doing it. They've got all the tools. It's easy for them and they enjoy that. They might not do anything else all year, but if they help build those Pinewood Derby cars, they just saved me a lot of splinters. So I appreciate it every single year. But that's what you're looking for. Maybe somebody's really into hiking. Somebody's really into geocaching. That somebody knows something, and every pack has somebody who has amazing talents, amazing interests, and might even be working at one of our local TV stations and be able to get us, seeing what a green screen does, or letting them people know who might be able to get a tour with a weather person. I'm pretty sure we know somebody who could hook us up. So that's what the family talent survey is, and use that and use your resources in the pack just to find out who's who can help, and then just don't be afraid to ask. It's something that you need to make sure you still have to make the ask. So I'm going to kick it back over at this point, I think, to Mark and Robert.
Yep.
Talk about what now and what's next.
Yeah. What I love about the new plan that we have is that it creates a perfect opportunity to engage your volunteers. I'm going to go through our agenda for the Welcome Back, Get Out and Cub Scout meeting. As we mentioned before, this is anything but a typical year. So we have a new template and a new agenda for what used to be called the sign-up night and what we're now calling the Welcome Back, Get Out and Cub Scout meeting. What we're thinking this year is doing stations. You'd have 4 stations in one area. And I'm going to go through this really quickly. Envision, instead of all the parents and filing into the room and sitting in rows of chairs and listening to the speakers, imagine them walking into a room where you've got 4 different stations set up. And they can go from station to station and learn about those key components that you normally go through in a typical year where you're standing in front and talking to everybody in the rows. And there will also be an activity area for their kids where those kids can go and basically, let's be honest here, stay busy while the parents go from station to station to learn more about scouting. So let's go, Robert, if you could just show the 4 stations one more time. I'm going to go through the 4 stations. The introduction station. You know, you're going to have your leadership there. They'll be introducing themselves, given the very basics, the date, the time, and the location of the meetings, and just kind of get the attendees set up for the flow of things, how they're going to go from station to station. That'll probably be near the entrance, as you can imagine, so you can greet them as soon as they walk in the door. Then we'll have them move on to the sign up and the fee collections station. That's where you'll have somebody with the applications. You'll have hopefully a laptop set up so that folks can fill out their online application if they want to. And you'll have your parents fill out that parent talent survey. Once they finish with that, they can move on to the calendar and schedule of events station. Very important that all of the units have their calendar and schedule of events ready by the time they have their welcome back, get out, and Cub Scout meeting, because everybody's busy, right? All your calendars are filling up quickly. You hand them your calendar and they can plug that stuff in right away and make sure that they don't have any conflicting events. And, you know, folks are involved in scouting because they want to do things. They want to see that you've got an exciting year planned out. You can also discuss product sales at this table, you know, your popcorn and things like that. Finally, they'll move on to the leadership station, right? You've got vacant leadership roles. You need to fill them. So this is where you can get those folks, you can bring them in. You got to remember to start your new volunteers off with small roles when possible and cultivate them into larger ones. And if somebody is recruited, make sure that you give them the link to youth protection and their job-specific training. So important. This is an easy opportunity for you to give them all the materials they need right off the bat so that they'll be successful in their volunteer role or their leadership role. And your activity area, just be creative. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. We've got some suggestions down there, but you know, pretty much anything that you can think of to keep the kids busy, that's all you got to do. Just make sure you have some different things that are geared to different age groups. So what now? What do you got to do next? We've got a couple of action items for you. I've got some, Robert's got some, I think, but I'll tell you mine. I think the first thing that we want you to do is get that Be a Scout pin done by July 31st. Now, I'm going to say that coming in a strong tie, but I'll say it's a second place, designate your PAC's recruitment chair, okay? Got to get that person in place so they can get their team assembled and start planning. It's July 28th, but the end of August is going to be here in no time. September is going to be here in no time. You guys know how time flies. So get your recruitment chair in place, and finally schedule that welcome back meeting. Just go ahead and schedule it. Robert, what do you think? Anything you want to add in there for action items?
Actually, you stole some of mine, Mark. No, I'm messing with you. No, that was you did a great job. So no, the only other one I would have was to get your team together to make phone calls to drop members. So get you 3 to 4 people there, because we're gonna give you those names and phone numbers, and just be prepared to place a phone call to them to get them back on board. I'm gonna ask David Sykes. He may have some final insights or that he might want to talk about before we close out here. And then kick
kind of like mid bite. If someone was taking a bite, y'all looking at me. Dave's not responding. I'm mid typing is what it was.
Yeah, I know, it's unusual. I didn't know what.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I was answering a question. I'll go ahead before I hit enter. Is you know, last year we had the catapults, and everybody, you know, that was a neat deal, right? Launching the scouting. Well, that's a neat deal in a regular year. We have a year like no other, right? So we try to create a flexible plan to where we can meet every pack for where you're at. And I can't tell you that the flexibility you have with this plan. I've been answering questions and people that have a genuine concern about in-person meetings. I just shared with one leader, it's like, look, if your leaders and you are concerned about safety or health, have at-risk people stay home, follow guidelines, but no one's making you do a in-person meeting either. I mean, if your chartered org's not behind it and your leaders aren't behind it, create a plan this fall that would engage in a virtual way until y'all feel comfortable. But create a do something plan instead of a do nothing plan. And I think our plan is wrapped around doing something and to re-engage, retain, and recruit. It's the 3 R's this year. So, and when you're recruiting that chair, recruit them with the intent to re-engage our current members and retain our drop members, and then we're going to recruit where possible. I did get a note from our marketing director, Jim, who's actually on vacation. He's probably on the beach listening to us. I appreciate it, Jim. But he said that we can expand the fence further. The default is a few miles, but we can expand it further in those rural areas. I did answer one question, said, well, what if we have a pack right next door and a pack here and they're both meeting? How does that geofence work with an overlap? And you know what my answer was? It overlaps. They're going to get promoted twice. Choices are good, people. So we're trying to get them involved wherever they want to join and feel comfortable joining. Maybe they can't go to this one, but they're going to go to this one. There's no territorial markers in terms of getting people involved in scouting. Our mission's to engage kids. So that was how I answered that one. And then in regards to the catapults, I started with that and got on my soapbox. But the catapults, we're not doing that this year because we're investing dollars to support you in these meetings, whether it be from, we're going to have some select direct mailers. You're already hearing about this geofencing where we're double downing on it. And then we're actually, for the first time ever, I could literally say this, I love saying first time ever on stuff, but we're giving PACs money to conduct a meeting. We're going to have an expense report that you literally fill out and you tell us how you use that money. You give us the receipt because we're going to get audited. We're nonprofit. We got to show that if we're giving money away, why is it going there? But we're literally giving your PAC money. I have one idea that said, well, can they make their own Cub Scout face mask? I said, well, we're not going to give you the face mask, but we're giving you money. Maybe you can get the materials and y'all make your own face mask. So I think it's out there. We're doing something in terms of giving the PACs money. It might not be catapults, but we're trying to invest where we can and make it worthwhile for everyone. So let me check the question and answer, and then I'll be quiet, folks. So I answered this one quite a few. Can we geofence multiple schools? The answer to that is yes. If you recruit from more than one school, the challenge is if the kids aren't in school, if they're in NTI, what is the benefit? Are those parents driving around that school? So you might want to choose your chartered org or the meeting location or a strategic location in which you're going to geofence that makes sense for your people. We will be launching some more information to support our groups in a virtual way. I've had that question, about safety and virtual meetings. We're going to have that. There's some support stuff we're going to put out there. But we also had, a couple of questions in regards to the virtual meetings. We're going to be putting out additional support for virtual meetings that will help everyone. I'm looking through, Matt, unless you had something, let me scan through some of these additional questions.
I did not.
I think, gentlemen, our pack.
While David's looking at those questions, I just want to tell my personal story. I came to my career as a TV news reporter through scouting, and I discovered my lifelong passion for the outdoors through scouting. So the things that we're doing today, the things that you'll do to get new scouts in to make sure that you keep your scouts from falling off the radar, and to re-engage those scouts who did fall off the radar. Those things are really going to make a difference in children's lives. They made a huge difference in my life, and you are going to make a big difference in somebody else's life. So don't let COVID derail this year, because you could make a big difference.
Yep.
I'm going to hang back and personally answer some of these questions that are hanging out there. But I do believe in you as leaders. Mark, thank you for everything you do for Scouts. Mark has been a champ last couple of years. He's seen our typical year. He's seen probably our best year ever in recruiting last year. And now he's seen a year like no other. So I don't know how you graduate from this, Mark, but we appreciate your support.
Hats off to you, Mark. Thank you for everything.
Leaders out there, if you get anything from this tonight, know that we're trying to create a plan that picks your pack where you're at and tries to support you in doing something to re-engaging your current members, retaining these drop, and recruit where we can. Usually we go in gangbusters. Let's recruit, recruit, recruit. We understand some of you haven't met in months. So we're trying to create a plan to where we're going to support you the best way we possibly can. For those of you that weren't on our popcorn call last week, this popcorn plan we're rolling out is a plan like no other. And we have another web conference you're going to see to support you with some of the weeds there. And the reason I'm able to segue into this a little bit is we had a question about would it be better to hold off our popcorn sale if you are targeting September and the first part of October? No, use your current members. This would be a great way to engage them, to get them involved with something. The support virtual, we have a virtual show and sell, which is exciting. So I chose to, Matt, you could, I chose to pick that one out for the crowd so that everybody could hear me there. But God bless all of you Scout leaders. We need more of you. We need to engage these kids. Our mission is to make a lifelong impact in young people using the Scout oath and law. And our mission from the Lincoln Heritage Council to support you as leaders has not wavered in this. It looks different and it's going to feel different, but the support is there, and just know that, and we're going to do the best job we can.
Let's do this, guys. If anybody wants to hang out in the Zoom meeting, we won't kick you off. You can continue to chat or ask questions with Dave. He is a fountain of information. But thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy schedules. Have a great night, okay?
Yeah, thank you guys for being here.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
The numbers dropping fast. Wow.
We held 125-ish.
That was incredible. Yeah, I love that. That was so great to see so many people on board. Fantastic.
A lot of sentiments of thank you. So that's always good to hear. A lot of work went into the plan above and beyond just us. So appreciate all of you.
Did I read the note, Dave? Did somebody say they wanted to do 333? I need to read.
Yeah, they liked all your ideas, Matt. Good job in selling your own unit.
I thought that was good, man. I'm glad you made that personal. I like that. It was good. Did you do it intentionally, or you just?
Here's one. If you're still on, Jennifer asked, "Are we allowed to make face masks with the Cub Scout logo on them?" Absolutely. Go for it. You get our marketing approval tonight. Go for it. Excellent question.
And I've actually seen that already. Somebody took old neckerchiefs and they used the neckerchief and put a back on it, so it literally has the Weeblo or the tiger or the bear on the front.
So just reading through, what Matt, we got a Joe Brannon. What's the contact info for Jonathan Barfield? Let's give him his cell phone.
Sure.
You should give him put his cell phone on Zoom, man. That's messed up.
Go ahead.
We should all call Barfield.
Cell phone out. I'm going to say answered it live.
I know.
No, I'm going to type it in here, but you tell me I'm typing it to Joe.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, I thought you was gonna put it. Okay.
No, he's got to say it out loud, so I don't care who gets
Ready?
it.
318.
Yeah.
Oh no.
332.
318.
332.
332
It's fine.
9095.
9095. That's customer service there, Mr. Joe Brannon. There you go.
We got to call him real quick.
Mike Kuhn, man, long time no talk to. There's a lot of Zoom resources out there. I think I mentioned we're going to be, we have not created a Zoom meeting in a box, so to speak, but we have a council-wide roundtable approach we're about to launch. And one of the first ones is how to successfully do scouting in a COVID world and deal with some of this virtual stuff. And I see that being our first meeting in August and rolling out a lot of info with that.
Well, and I saw one question, David. I think the units I've talked to that had their own Zoom account, spent a little money, got their own Zoom account, really have appreciated it. I think Corey Workman was asking that as far as large groups. I haven't had anybody disappointed with that. And honestly, scout troops can do breakouts using Zoom. So their patrols have been able to do separate patrol meetings on the same night using one line. That's been very successful from units I've talked to that spent a little bit of money, and they did it as a short-term investment. They know it's not forever, but they're using it for the short future.
One thing I didn't answer, Allison Hoffman, I feel bad. I was going to answer this live. She says, I'm assuming the buddy has to register to get the patch. Yes, it's that's how we're going to know that they've been recruited. You're going to submit that. But I am recording this meeting, so at least we answered it there, and we'll put out a follow-up. The geofencing available for Scouts BSA troops. Yes, we're going to launch that, and we're going to have a meeting in the upcoming couple of weeks. So yeah. And not
Alan Crosby's got a good question or two in the chat, David.
Yeah, I was in the middle of typing it. So Alan, if you're hung back with us, like this joker hadn't answered my question. Do we have any idea if the schools are going to let us in to do recruiting, or will they be a recruiting event from a council at Crooked Creek or Tunnel Mill? Hadn't thought about using camp for necessarily a recruiting event other than the bring a buddy opportunities with some of the events we're already having out there. I had a very important meeting with the community relations head of community relations in the Dr. Polio's cabinet for JCPS, Alan. So I know you're with JCPS. I'll address it directly. They're going to start NTI third week of August, and it's going to roll for 6 weeks before they make a determination if they go a different route, which I could tell you from my meeting, it sounds like they would lean towards getting them back into school if they can. But that means we need to be prepared to promote virtually within JCPS for a location, maybe ideally at your chartered partner or outdoors for a meeting or virtual meeting. And I had there, we'll be working with the individual school principals to promote virtually using our videos and digital marketing stuff. So did that answer that, Robert? I think that answered that.
Yeah, it did.
I think we're nearing the end of our questions. If you're having troubles updating your PIN, someone just said they're having troubles, contact our scout office. Hannah Hobbs is our local expert. She's our registrar. Contact your executive. Email me, David.Sykes, S-I-K-E-S @scouting.org, and we'll get you taken care of. Thanks, Mike. See you later. And gentlemen, without further ado, I think we got a couple of other questions kind of lingering here, but I think that gives us a wrap tonight. So
awesome, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah,
thank you, Mark. Appreciate you.
Hey, thanks, Matt and Dave. See y'all tomorrow.
See ya.